Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Meta Cafe. Grab your cup of coffee, tea, or water, which I also have, and sit back and let's talk about some astrology, human design, and I've actually already pulled an oracle card for us this morning. So somebody make sure that I remember to show you the card because it was a doozy, I think. I think it's a good one. I didn't read about it yet, but it looked good to me. Suzanne, good morning to you. She said she's tried to share her page, but it won't let me. The name is, okay, I'm going to post this for you. The name is Coven of the Eclectic Sisterhood. I kind of like that name, Suzanne. Light and love. So Suzanne, what I'll do later here after the show this morning is I'll go in and I'll post it. And or sometimes in the back, it's waiting for me to approve something to get posted. So I'll take a look at that for you and see. I just haven't had time yet this morning to do that. But thank you so much. Good morning, Mimi. And good morning, Courtney. I know you're out there because I just talked to you a second ago. It's good to see you all this morning. It is a bright, sunshiny day. Again, we are so blessed sometimes here in the Northwest with this beautiful sunshine and bright blue skies, wonderful temperatures. Yesterday, I actually moved all of my devices outside to my front porch. My phone, of course, obviously. My computer was out there, my two iPads, and I sat outside and I worked for a good chunk of the day. And it was really beautiful out there, and I didn't want to come back in, but then I did have to because I had a radio show that I was on yesterday. So I hope you guys were able to join us and listen in to Angel Heart Radio. Yesterday, I got to talk with Annette about the upcoming move of Uranus from the sign of Aries into the sign of Taurus, which of course has been sort of sending little shivery shivers down my spine as I look to what the possible meaning is of that particular move. And maybe I probably won't get into too much about it today, except to say this. Sometimes I'm in the shower, and I bet you guys do this too, and you get like the best ideas. And of course you can't act on them because you're kind of in the water and you're wet and maybe even naked. Presumably you are, and running around the house at that moment to go find a pen is probably not something you can do. So I had it in my mind, I've got to do this. I've got to do this. I don't know why the Galactic Center jumped into my mind this morning, but it did. And I thought, I've never looked up what gate the Galactic Center is sitting at. And it is going to be sitting at the same gate for all of us, right? Because the Galactic Center, meaning it is the center of our solar system, only moves across the plane of the ecliptic 1 degree every 71.25 years, I think it is. So for almost every one of us born since the last 70 years, we have it in the same gate. And even if we were born with it in 26 degrees, maybe I have it in 27 and maybe you'll have it in 28, those same degrees are still at the same gate. And the gate it's at is fascinating. So, and I think the reason I was thinking about this is because I was musing about the fact that the sun in my birth chart sits exactly opposing the Galactic Center. And I'm like, what does that mean? Well, it's possibly this, energy that I have of being able to sort of ferry messages from the higher realms into the earthly realm, otherwise known as channeling. I like streaming. I like to stream information from the other realms into this realm. So this morning I am streaming to you the energy of what the Galactic Center holds for all of us through human design. And that's at gate 11. Now, let me get my little sample chart out here. Gate 11 is up on the Ajna, and it's a gate that we usually think of as, here's my sample chart, and you can see gate 11. It comes down from the Ajna right over here on the left, and it joins down to the throat right here. This person doesn't have it, but unbeknownst to them, they really do, right? So the gate 11 in its lowest expression, because that's how I like to look at it through the gene keys, is the energy of obscurity. And I remember having to look up this word because, obviously I know what obscurity means, but trying to put it into its proper place, right? Obscurity, sort of hidden from the light, right? Hidden from the light. The gift of this particular gate is idealism. And the highest expression of this gate is light. And in human design, one day I was listening to Karen Parker talk, and she was talking about gate 11 as the gate of the seeker, not necessarily the finder, but it is the gate of the seeker. And the seeker gate, it means that here we are, we all enter into the planet out of the darkness, out of obscurity, into this light. And we are here to find our way, right? Our way through to idealism and into the light. And it really reminds me of the Fool card in the tarot, right? The Fool has his two cards, actually, it reminds me of. One is the Fool card, the guy with the little knapsack on his back, and he's, just moving through his life. Unbeknownst to him, it looks like he's going to fall off a cliff, but maybe it's that falling off the cliff that launches us on our journey to find the light. The other tarot card it reminds me of is the World, where you see this heavenly person, basically a naked person. So coming in through what appears to be a gateway or a portal into the world, launching into their own personal journey. And so I don't know why that just seemed so interesting to me, but it was and is that we are all on a journey together here at this time and in this place. Now, obviously, the next 70 years, we're going to see the Galactic Center move. And actually, I think it will be, let me look up gate 11 here just for a moment, because I think it's not for a while yet. Probably not until, yikes, probably within the next 20 years, perhaps, the Galactic Center actually will be moving out of gate 11. So what we could see then is this next sort of generation of people resonating with a different energy than what we are. Maybe they will be the finders, right? We've been the seekers. We're the ones that are discovering ancient texts and reimagining the world. And they're the ones perhaps that'll be the finders. I don't know. To me, it was just a fascinating little thought. We are all in search of the light. You are all beings of light, and you are all here to find your way through whatever your journey is on this planet, this little planet called Earth, in this solar system that we call the Milky Way. Actually, I'm not sure that we call our solar system that, but it doesn't matter. Don't you think we should name the solar system? I think we should name the solar system. I don't know what we would name it, but maybe people can think of some great ideas. So here we are today, the moon firmly planted in Virgo. I actually look forward to the days when the moon is in Virgo. Why? Because I get stuff done. If I turned my camera around right now, I would be really embarrassed, because literally my desk is a mess. I've got stuff piled over here, stuff piled up on top of my printer, stuff piled over to my right. I've got a pile sitting in front of me. And the moon in Virgo days, I get somehow bit by the cleaning bug, and I get everything put away and organized. And that's kind of the day we have today, right? The moon in Virgo opens up a pathway to organization, to neatness, to reducing clutter, to all kinds of fun energies. Today, the moon is in a trine 120-degree angles with the planet Saturn. So in an interesting sort of way, it kind of turns us internally. Maybe what we could do with the moon in Virgo is clear out our thinking, and that's going to be important, and you'll see here in just a moment why. But maybe we can clear out all that clutter that we've been holding on to within our own bodies, within our own souls, within our minds, which get all mucked up with all kinds of stuff. Either way, a great day to sort of purify, to let go of, to organize, and to be practical in the way that we're using our energy. The moon's connection to Saturn today helps us focus that energy in a bit and gives us that more reserved side. We may feel, some of you may feel today like your energy's been dampened down somewhat. And that would be because of the moon's connection to Saturn. That tends to make us have to focus, and maybe we're focusing a little more inward because Saturn is in retrograde motion right now. So that too will pass. The moon moves fairly quickly, so we will not be dogged by melancholia all day. It just may be at various times. Some of you may be pulled inward for a look inside to see what's going on. The moon is also opposing Neptune. That gives us a very clear access to our intuition today. And I remember it just seems like the last few days, actually, I have had some wildly interesting dreams. And I come back, and I feel like I have literally been living a different timeline. Not that I was just dreaming, that I was actually somewhere else and engaged in a very detailed life, as this one is, this reality that I'm focused in right in this moment. But in my dream life, I feel like I've been literally focused in on some other life. And it's a far more adventurous life than the one I'm living right now. So maybe that's why I don't have met very big adventures in this life, because I'm living them in some other timeline. I don't know. All I know is it's been incredibly weird. And I wonder if some of you are feeling that same kind of, or experiencing that same kind of dream life. Good morning, Roseanne. It's good to see you. And I think, the dream state does allow us to kind of tap into those alternate realities. So somehow right now, maybe it's Neptune, who knows what it is. But I seem to be tapping into something very profound, even though I'm not necessarily remembering all the details when I come back. My unconscious mind and the symbols, seem to be about travel. Now that I think about it, one was a boat. A couple of times it's been in a boat, a ship, actually. Interesting. Okay. Well, anyway, so what else is going on today? Well, I want to take you back in time. Let's time travel a bit backwards in time to March, just before Mercury went retrograde. And I'm talking about March 11th, which is the last time that Mercury was in a square, or was the first time in this series that Mercury was squaring Saturn. And then again on April 5th, Mercury squared Saturn in retrograde motion. And again today, Mercury is squaring Saturn again in direct motion, because remember, it was moving forward and it got beyond the point where it was in a square with Saturn. It retrograded backwards and hit Saturn again. And then it moved forward, and it's still moving forward. And now it's passing back again past the square of itself with Saturn. I can feel it, right? I can really feel this energy, because Mercury rules the mind, and it rules your thinking processes. It rules your voice, your communication ability. And I can feel that there's this little bit of scrambledness going on as my mind is straining to focus and to bring out what it is that I really want to say. And that is kind of the energy that we have today. Your thinking may be a little scrambled. Your messages coming out of your mouth may be a little scrambled. And so everybody needs to slow down today, thinking very much before you speak, right? Getting your thoughts clear before you speak. The reason you would want to do that is because you don't want the words that come out of your mouth to come out sounding pessimistic, or sounding like you're not in alignment with what it is that you're really saying. So this too shall pass. It'll be another day or so and we'll be beyond this. But today, this is exact. So be very aware today of what it is that you're saying before you say it. And this isn't like Mars being in a relationship with Mercury, where things just come out of your mouth and blurt and, create havoc. It's not so much that. It's that if you're processing while you're thinking, people may not understand you clearly in what it is that you're trying to convey. So, for example, and this is great for you today, Courtney, to know this, because if you're in a job interview today, very much think about the question that you're being asked, and don't be so willing to just blurt out what comes up for you. Really think clearly about and form carefully the words that you want to say. right? The reason being is you want to be heard correctly. You want to be able to express what it is that you're really thinking, but because the mind may be a little bit scrambled today, it may take some time to do that. So you could use things like, well, let me think about that for a moment before you just answer directly, or use some other ways that you have at your fingertips to pause before you speak, pause before you take action even on anything. Interesting, because today with the moon, or with the moon in Virgo, Mercury is the ruler of Virgo. So the moon may even be racking up the emotional energy around your words. And if the emotion comes out of what you're feeling instead of, what you truly wanted to say, you could be sending out mixed messages. So being careful today about how you say what you say, and being willing to stop before you speak and think about it clearly, right? And that's always a good message, actually. Think before you speak. But today it might be even better to make sure that your message that you get across, that you convey, is what you really wanted to. And, I think too, what's going on in our mind is something, what is in your mind, right? Literally, what have been your thinking patterns over the last 6 weeks? Has it been 6 weeks since the beginning of March, where this first happened? Are you thinking small? Are you being pessimistic in your thoughts? And if so, now's a really good time to redevelop those thought processes. What has been in your mind? Look at the contents of your mind. With Saturn, we can focus in very easily on the things that we don't necessarily want to be thinking of. Oh, I want to share something with you guys this morning. Can you tell that Mercury's well, anyway. Yesterday, when I was on air with Angel Heart Radio, Annette McCoy, I was able to do some readings. And I was doing a reading for this gentleman. All I know is his first name was Bob. And he was telling me he has this wonderful intention that he set for his life. And it is that his intention is to live a gentle, joyful, loving, and abundant life. A gentle, joyful, loving, and abundant life. I loved that. Anytime that your mind wants to go small, remind it that you are living a gentle, joyful, loving, and abundant life. I love that. I'm going to write that for you guys here. So hold on a second while I type that in. Your intention is that you are living a gentle, joyful, loving, and abundant, spell it right, life. There you go. Copy and paste that. I'm actually going to, I'm going to take it and I'm going to print it on big sheets of paper and put it as a banner on my wall, or maybe I'll put it behind me so that everybody can see it in the mornings. I wish I was an artist. It would make it so much easier to be so creative about what I did there. Anyway, so thinking small does not serve us. And here's our opportunity. If you've gotten into a habit, and sometimes these things do become habits, right? We get into a habit of believing the worst, of thinking that the worst is going to happen, or that I don't know, it's a pattern that we get involved in with thinking small. So get into a pattern of thinking big. Live your gentle, joyful, loving, and abundant life. All right. Lastly this morning, not lastly, because I still want to do the card, but another little thought was twinkling through my mind here about Uranus and its move into Taurus. And that is, what gate is Uranus going to be at in the human design, in the gene key? What gene key are we going to be experiencing when Uranus moves into Taurus? Well, that was an interesting thought, because as I started looking through my ephemeris, my little cheat book here of where everything's been, is that Uranus has been at the gate 3, right? Not too long ago, let's see, April 16th through the 21st, we were experiencing the sun at gate 3. Remember, the sun was conjunct Uranus. And let's see, Uranus gate 3 in March, gate 42. So it is recently into gate 3. So to me now, when I look at what that means for us when Uranus moves into Taurus, is that gate 3, remember, is the gate that in the lower expressions is chaos. The gift is innovation, and the highest expression is innocence. And what a perfect expression of the planet Uranus as it comes in and turns our world upside down. Every time it changes signs, it changes the energy completely. And gate 3 being a gate of chaos in the lower expressions. And any time that a planet moves, initially, I think we begin to resonate with the new energy at its lowest frequency. As we learn about it, as we gain experience with that energy, we move upward toward the gift. Do I think that it's always that way? No, I think, depending at times, there may be, a different energy that we enter into, but certainly with gate 3 in the I Ching, it's called trouble in the beginning, right? Trouble in the beginning. You know how when you start something, it takes time to build up the inertia, right? To overcome inertia, to build up the momentum. And that is exactly what we're experiencing here in the beginning with Uranus's move into Taurus, is that expression of chaos in the beginning and leading us to innovation. So I think the high side message here is that these next 7 years with Uranus moving into Taurus give us some access to some very innovative new things in the outer world, specifically related to money and to our financial world. The death, perhaps, of the greed model of being, as people more and more claim their power and their ability to. You remember in the beginning of the year, I said the biggest message of this year for us is people power. That is it in a nutshell here, is that we begin to, out of the chaos, form people power. And we form that along lines of common core values, right? And then we demand that our world begin to be the outpicturing of our values, instead of living from, these false things like greed, which is literally based in a fear of not having enough. And, for example, people who have Chiron in Taurus, or who have their black moon in Taurus, their shadow or their wound is often relegated to not having enough, right? The fear of scarcity, the fear of lack. And from that, you can sometimes see where people move toward greed, gathering everything they can from every place, all for themselves, right? And with an open spleen, it can create hoarding for some people, as they, surround themselves by things just to hold off that feeling of not having enough. So we have a lot of energy here of beginning a new model of how it is we are going to be in the world abundantly. So gate 3 I don't know if I've shown you guys this book before. This is called The Book of Lines, and it was written by Ketan Parkin. And it's really showing us the I Ching, discover the person you were born to be. And it is a 21st century view of the I Ching, the Chinese book of changes. So here's the information from gate 3. It is about beginnings, implementing the new. In breaking with old ways, clear perspective, perseverance, and some principles of organizing are needed. Tradition does not easily give way to the new, the unknown, and the untried. So we do begin this particular transit of Uranus in chaos, as the old guard, traditional way of being digs in, right? Claws to the ground and earth, right? The bull, that digs in and holds its space, even while everything around it is in chaos and is in flux and is in change. We as a people don't do change readily, right? We really do like the tried and true. But Uranus comes along in this gate, it's backing it up. In the sign of Taurus, it's backing it up, that the world is about to be turned on its ear, right? Remember, I told you guys at one point that Uranus rotates at a 90. Our Earth is canted at about a 23-degree angle, and it spins on its axis this way. Well, Uranus is at a 98-degree angle, so it's literally almost on its side and rolling in its orbit. So it does things completely different. It's unique, it's eccentric, and it is pushing us to try things new. And that's definitely the energy that's going to be borne out for us over literally the next several months of Uranus at gate 3. It also makes me think, though, that rather than the very powerful sort of entry that Uranus made when it moved into Aries, that maybe it is a slower building of something that we start to see. Like I noticed yesterday, the stock market fell, and that's been sort of happening off and on, right? It's been kind of in this wriggly space. I wonder if that is something that, rather than a precipitous fall, maybe it's something that is not necessarily slow, but a slower correction perhaps in the markets. I don't know. I wish I was an oracle and I could just predict that for you, but I can't predict exactly how things are going to go. And why? Because everyone on this planet has free will, and they're all inputting, what it is that they think this is going to be, or what they believe, that they want from this world. So it makes it hard to predict exactly how this is going to happen. So stay out of fear, but stay in the moment and know that everything that's happening, even if our financial worlds crumble, the things that we know to be, financially stable might be turned on their ear. It's all for a reason, right? It's all moving us away from greed and more into alignment with people power, people supporting people. Anyway, let's do the Oracle card before I close for today, because I just said to the Oracle this morning, the